what is it? Oh, it's Maul Flanders is one of them. But every time I watch Brave, I think of Merida's hair, and I'm like going, I'm not touching that with a stick, let alone a comb, because
Yeah.
the
Her hair.
snarls she would have had, right?
Mhm.
I because I live in Kansas City, right? I have a lot of the raps because it's 50-50 of not white, where Utah is more like what, 2 out of 1 million. But anyways, so I'm like, I just need to live like my darker sisters and keep it wrapped. Then I would never have to comb it. It would never get tangled. So, but anyways. Okay, I got a handout and I've got a presentation. And Liz, if you've got something to blurb, I'm gonna blurb my book tonight, probably live, because I haven't done it. I need to.
Okay.
So Liz, you know your one that you're setting in North Korea, right? And you've also got your one about your great grandpa, whoever. Have you blurbed
Oh,
up those?
yeah, I could blurb those. So you want something that's not published already?
No, 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 no. I just want to. I want tonight. I'm gonna try a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
and that's especially where this one's being recorded. I want it to be because let me back up. Anybody that's got a really good blurb methodology, I'd be stealing their process. There's lots of ways to do blurbs. And so what I've done is kind of hobbled together a few places and then came up with the basic list. And I'm going to open a Word document, in my case, probably Pages, because that's how I feel. And we're going to write mine. You're going to see, well, I'm going to demo writing mine and you can write yours. And in this way, we could always come back and like, oh, that's right. This is how she did that. And I could do this and this. So that's how I set it up, Liz.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you wanted to do it for, and I had another dream hit me the other day that I got to make a short story because it's hitting great. Um, Let me give you this pitch. Imagine you're on a reality TV show that's kind of like This Is Your Life,
Mhm.
only it's like Love Island. And so it's the recap show, and they have a star, and they put you in a bed, and there's somebody in the covers next to you, but they're covered with a duvet. And you're next to them and you can reach over and see who they are, but the audience will give you hints on who it is. And so I had this dream that I just looked at the back and I saw the back of the head, like just back part of the skull, and I knew who it was. And it was shocking because the way it was, it's based on a couple of shows. The female character is a plush, uh, TV writer, and this is a really hot, ripped TV host. And he was on the show, and they hooked up in the back, and makes a scandal because they fall in love. And he is this ripped, cut guy, and she's this roundly, lush person. And how would you write that love story? So yeah.
Mm.
And it reminds me of I went to see Argyle, and one of the weird things about it, my friend who went to see Argyle said her husband was watching and enjoying watching Bryce Dallas Howard, because Bryce she's normal looking now. She's not the stick she was in her teens. She's had kids and she's got a nice figure, and she's kind of like Amy Schumer. She's not skinny, right? And she's got that great hair and her great skin. And so, anyways, I guess my friend whose husband's older, right, was enjoying the love candy of Bryce Howard as I was watching, Cavill, because I could. And so it was interesting. So that's what made me think about it, is you think about Bryce Dallas Howard now, and she's not the quote Hollywood siren or starlet that she used to be. So anyways, but yeah. Anyways, so I think that's where the dream came from. But yeah, so just saying. Okay, so we are gonna start in 3 minutes, right? Good to see you, Melissa. I think we're good, right? Liz, do you have an early morning tomorrow?
Uh, well, I have the Friday off, but I'm volunteering at this board game convention. In the afternoon, though, so I'm gonna sleep in. But it's in Ogden.
Nice. We're
Yeah.
at Ogden.
The Davis County Center.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna volunteer there on Friday, and then probably gonna play games on Sunday or something. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
And it's 2 o'clock, right, Sarah? It's like dark of the morning.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
you're
but
like,
this is the last one. This is the last one I have to do this.
So
wow.
are you coming back to the States, or how come it's gonna be the last one?
Oh wait, no, I have one more after this. Shit. Sorry. March 12th, I think, is the last one.
Sarah, where are you gonna
That's an
go?
hobby.
Where are you gonna go after Ireland? Do you have a
My
def-
parents' basement.
Oh, I have a basement in Kansas City to say, but I'm with you. Oh, that is something I can't do that anymore. If Weldon cuts the sheets, I'm gonna have to live in my truck. There's no one left. They're all dead. Oh man, Liz, you'll have to put me in your closet. Just
Yeah, I you'll fit between the David's drums and my coats, so there's not a lot of room.
lay on the cosplay costumes and pad your head.
Yeah, it'll be comfy. I mean, at least you'll be able to like have cushions or something.
Well, I will say, Sarah, I wish you luck, and I'm glad to see you. Anyways, parents are good for that, and I hope that it gets better after. And isn't that what we do? Better after, better after, better after, until we're somewhere happy again. So wishing luck. Although I'd hate to leave Ireland, but then again, I don't know where I'd live in Scotland. It was weird. I felt enclosed, and I think it's because everything's like the trees are really close and the roads are really narrow and the house is really small. And when we got back, I got to drive home from Salt Lake, having been driving across the UK in a minivan where I was scraping the sides because the roads are tiny. And to take to hop on, we took 215. So I took Davis Highway. I lost the name of it. And it was just nice to be big roads, lots of room. So, okay. So we got Yesenia, we got Melissa, and then like I said, Melissa and Yesenia, this is on writing blurbs. We're going to demo writing a blurb. So if you have a story, done or not, that you want to write a blurb for, we're going to demonstrate that. And you can, if you want to open a document or a file, we can do that. Yeah.
That is great because I've been working on that this week. It's
Oh,
a
awesome.
struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. In reality, we have time for a lot of discussion tonight, but I'm going to do a demonstration. So you guys are going to see me open pages as I'm talking keynote to you. I'm feeling very Apple tonight. I have PowerPoint Word, but I'm on my Mac, so I'm going to be like all militant tonight about, oh yeah. Although I'm trying to think if I had to use PowerPoint though, because Mac doesn't like to steal people's pictures. So to get clipboard, you gotta do PowerPoint, just so you know. Okay,
It doesn't let you steal pictures? What do you mean? I feel like I steal them all the time.
Well, no, what it is, and let me tell you, I have PowerPoint for Mac.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's some Microsoft nuance there. But you know how in PowerPoint you go to insert and from stock images is an option? And I'm on my Mac, it's a desktop, and on Keynote, inserting wants to go somewhere. There's no stock photo or anything. So when I'm actually making stuff on I actually use my tablet, go on Canva and make my own graphics. That's just me. But I was trying to find pictures and I'm like, oh, hell with this. And so I went to open PowerPoint and went to Microsoft stock photos and found some pictures. So yeah. But Liz, do you Mac at all? Because I know work is the government's PCs. So
I do I do Mac. My personal computer is a Mac, so
okay.
it's
So,
nice.
yeah. Mhm.
I personally use the Google Suite, like Google
Yes.
Slides,
So
because
Google
then
Docs.
you can go between Mac and
Yes.
PC.
Absolutely, and Google and I was talking at work. We just got Teams at IRS. We just got Microsoft Teams at IRS a year ago. Isn't that fun? And we were talking about sharing files. I'm like, do none of you guys Google Docs at home? I mean, Microsoft flipping lifted this from Google entirely. What are you talking about? So, anyways, okay. Let me get my crap together. I think we can get started. Or how long do you want to wait? You want to give it till 5 after? Or you want to just get started? What's your guys' thoughts?
Maybe like until 7:05. I feel like people kind of straggle in. That's just 3 minutes or 2 minutes from now, so.
You're muted.
I tabbed and muted. So I was gonna say, Liz, do not just tell you my freakishly complex love story of cowboyness clocked in at 113,700 words. And I
Wow.
said, OMG, you're not a fantasy. What the HE double hockey stick are you doing to me? And then I bounced it to my friend to do a
Yeah.
horsey content edit. And then I will cut, and or write it up like I'm Rebecca Yarros and I can have a hellishly long romance. 150.
I want to hear more about it when you have it already.
Well, that's why I'm going to blurb it with you guys, because I don't have a blurb written, because frankly, till I got it done, I wasn't sure if it was going to be church or love, and it turned out to be love. And what made it long, you guys, is I'm evil. My love triangle, I did put enough paragraphs that you weren't sure which one she's going to end up with. And about 3/4 way through, you get an idea. And then she tells him to get the hell out of her house. And so I had to give him 6 weeks of like counseling and let her baby get to 3 months old. And then I made the last chapter a lot of tell and then a final scene. And that the lot of the basically I went the 108 to 113 is giving him counseling enough that you would marry that, because kissing your ex's best friend is just not what I like to see in my men. And then she had a baby, right? And I'm like, I'm not having sex when I just did that. And so we had to stretch it out. And so I did tell, and it took me 5,000 words to bring it home. And I ended it. I'm going to piss off all the audience because I didn't have him, how do I say it, convert. Like, you know, you're marrying a Jewish guy. Didn't have him convert, and I didn't have them happily after per se. And I wrote a sex scene that is 2 sentences long that talks about gasping and giggling. And that's how we ended the book. So I'm pretty sure that all of my audience is going to hate me. And that's why we're talking about blurbs now, is I need to let it sit for 6 weeks after the horsey review. And then we'll chop and paste and see if we can do that to my readers, because I will do it to my readers. But if we need an epilogue and baby number 2, I'll do it. You know what I mean? But I just don't want to. It's almost, I will say, Liz, it's pretty close to happy for now, which is really good for me, because, you know, I'm an all over. Yeah. But then again, I don't, bang him, go for 6 months, get your head cleaned out, finish breastfeeding and move on. I mean, you know, there's ways to cut this off. But Liz, yeah, when we blurb it, it turned into a full love triangle, like I know you like, and I hate.
I don't know. I love them for some reason. I don't know what's wrong.
So I will tell you that I have 2 church dances in the book, and one, her ex, whose family is very musical.
Mhm.
They go up on stage with a herd of them with a snare drum and cymbal, piano, a mandolin, 2 guitars, and a violin, and then 2 singers. And her ex proceed to sing, because good karaoke is her side habit. So her and her ex sing like Suspicious Minds from Elvis Presley. And then the next church dance is her ex goes to get her a horchata because she's very pregnant and she can't drink pop and she's craving rice milk, just Mexican cinnamon rice milk. And so her ex goes to get her horchata and she ends up dancing with the other guy, doing like line dances and stuff, and showing people how to do the Texas 2-step and waltzing. So I have 2 great dances with both guys because I'm evil.
Or you just are lovely with your writing.
Well, I hope so. But think about yourself, Liz. Like, I know where your guy is. If you had a church dance and they wanted to make a sing-along, you know you're going to be up on stage in the back. And are you going to stand in front there and sing with him? Maybe. I might dance and shake a tambourine, but she gets asked to sing at the dance. And when they were dating, that's what they would do. So it's kind of fun because he can see her with his best friend doing that. And it makes it kind of a fun scene on both sides. But I will say one of the songs I put in there is 30 Days in the Hole. I don't know if you guys have listened to that song, but it's a fun song to sing. It's just flipping, you're dying in drugs in prison. I'm like, this is a good LDS book, Virginia. 30 Days in the Hole, that's the song you chose? Yes, it is. Because Black Nepalese and Yeah, talking about uppers and downers, and you're gonna die in prison. It's an awesome song for a church dance. But yeah, okay. So 808, 708. Deborah, when you're ready, let us know. I actually have to silence my phone, you guys. I have no friends. My husband's at work. What is this life that has infected me? Ugh.
Then why do you have to silence your phone?
Oh, I'm like, ugh. Sarah, does your text, have they gone down because you're hours away, or they've gone up because you're hours away?
They've gone up. They've gone so far up. All hours of the day, like, and I have a watch too that syncs with my
Oh,
phone, so it's just like constantly buzzing.
um, somebody told them that I played the flute. I haven't played my flute in a while. And the person I wanted to play instead of me had a bad cold. So I did the first rehearsal and downloaded the music, and then I dumped it on my friend, and that's what they're talking about. And I'm like, I should leave the group text, but I figured this is my penance for dumping a flute on a friend. I'm evil. So yeah. All right, so Liz, whenever you're ready, when you guys are ready, I'm getting ready to present. So if you guys want to open the meeting, we can start to go. Before we do, Deborah, we're gonna write blurbs as a demo. So if you have a blurb to write, open your spreadsheet, OneNote, PowerPoint, Word, Pages, Doc, because I'm gonna open a document. I don't write my blurbs in Excel because I need more spell check and I get past 250 characters. But Excel's really good if you want to do the 25, 50, 100 thing in a row. And that can be sheets or numbers. Okay. But I'm going to open a document and we're going to blurb live. So I turn it now over to the chapter leadership and then we'll get started. So Melissa, Liz, do you have anything to say? You want to talk about the chapter? Do we have any chapter business?
Well, I don't know if you guys have updates. I know we're finalizing everything for the anthology, so probably after this meeting I'll send the acceptances out to everyone who submitted. I was supposed to do that the other day and then I just forgot. Sorry, guys. So I'll send those acceptances out and then we'll start editing. Yeah, well, I think we're going to, when did we say we were going to publish it, everyone? Do you guys remember? We can say that we could
Summer.
publish it. So, okay, so let's see.
I was thinking summer, like get it done by Sarah's laughing.
I thought it was June, but
Yeah,
I could be
yeah.
making that up.
It might be. So I guess the only thing is with the editing is that we need to, so we have like, I'd have to check again. I think it's like 15 or 17 stories. Some are flash fiction, some are long. And depending on how many people edit, if anyone wants to join in. I know, Virginia, you said that you wanted to do a proof at the end.
Yeah, I'll do. And I can edit, Liz, but you know me, I'm kind of more artistic than phonetic. You know me, I'm not meticulous enough to be a good editor.
No,
Well,
no,
I
it's,
can proofread like the devil.
yeah.
Content commas, I get really, I don't know, eccentric.
No, it'll actually be really helpful to have you proofread because when we format it, we need someone who's not looked at it to look at it and be like, because you know when you read something for 10,000 times, and I'm sure everyone who's published books here is like gone through their story so many times that at the end that you're ready to publish, you're like, I don't want to look at this anymore. That's why we need the proofreader. So we'll probably do like 2 or 3 rounds of edits, depending on how, maybe even less. I think the flash fiction will probably be really quick. So I don't know, just give it a few months. So it's February now. What if, okay, so we need to talk about the retreat. We don't need to do that now. But we're gonna do the retreat in July, right? Is that still planned? So what if we have it published like before or on the probably like before the retreat, And then anyone who wants to go to the retreat, like maybe the day before, we can do a book launch, and then everyone who's there, because I know we're a virtual chapter, but like the retreat gives us an option to be in person, and then you can like have a book, you'll be able to have a book there. So we could do that if you guys want to do that.
And plus, Liz, if you have a couple copies you want to use for gifts, you could have everybody sign who's there.
Exactly. And I have those, so who won again that contest? Because I have 3 of those Listallion leather journals, those pink ones.
Are you talking the conference or this contest?
Either one. I thought we were going to do it for the contest. Anyway, I have 3 Listallion journals that we can give out to people. They're unopened, like brand new. So we could have one, or we could because maybe, who won the contest? Do you guys remember?
Liz, I think it's in the messenger. Let's do this. Let's go into messenger after you send the emails.
Yeah, I'll find out. Well, whoever it
Because
is.
I think you put in messenger who you think won, but I think if you go through and look at the stories again and get your, I don't know, table of contents together, that might help you gather the thoughts. Then you just tell us who won or which ones you like the best, and we'll make a decision. I think you told us the candidates, like
No,
the top ones.
so
but
that
not
was for the anthology.
Okay,
for the
like the
anthology.
contest.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you guys had like the because I know there was the contest where they like submitted extra stories to the anthology, and I just didn't know if we wanted one to be like the winner essentially, and if we had already, I want to say that was Jonathan, or maybe he won a different contest. He would have won a different contest because actually he submitted late. So never mind. Well,
I
anyway,
don't. Let me ask you this, Liz. Are all of the stories in the Google Drive where we could all look at them?
yes. Yeah, anyone can look, anyone who has access to the email. All you have to do is you essentially go to the contest page, when you submit and you submit into the Google form. If you click edit instead of just so you click into it and then you can click edit and then it'll show you the submissions. So, if you guys ever want, I can show you, but yeah, anyone with the Gmail can look. And then, but I have those 3 books, so I could just wait off and give them during the retreat too. So either way.
So Liz, well, let's have a leadership meeting.
Yeah.
Sometime, a normal day for Sarah.
Yeah.
Got it. Get Kira on there too, and then go through and have each of us pick our top 2, and then you can bet the best one.
Sounds perfect.
We can get 1, 2, 3, and have the winners that way.
And we could, depending on when works for everyone, we could do a noon one day. So Sarah, you don't have to stay up so late.
Maybe an 8 o'clock at night versus 2 a.m. right? Maybe.
You guys want to meet at midnight and then we can just meet in the middle somehow?
Yeah, something, right?
Can we do something what would 10 a.m. Ireland be for you?
You're 7 hours ahead, right? I think
Yeah.
you're 7 hours ahead. Yeah. So because usually, yeah. So I have some friends that I still meet, and we usually meet around noon, or it's 11 to 2 is normal, okay times, but then anything after is super late.
So 11 a.m. Utah time.
11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m. Yeah, Utah time. Yeah. And then it's just 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., that kind of.
Yeah.
But if we did 9 a.m. Utah time, that'd be 5, right?
Right. Yeah. We'd all have to be okay with getting up at 9.
So Liz, make a note, go on Messenger, pick a Saturday and tell us to say 9 or 11 Utah time.
Okay, I'll send a message in the group.
And then Liz, but do it after you've got the email sent to everybody, because that way at least that part will get done.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, that was my only thing, and we need to talk about the retreat soon. I don't think anyone gave specific places. Some people gave general ideas. I think we should just do something within 2 hours of wherever you in Utah. And I know Virginia won't be able to come. But I think, and
I'm voting for Delta. That's just me, just saying.
yeah, no, Delta, Utah. I've never been to Delta, Utah.
Well, it's too far out, but I will say 2 hours of Salt Lake would be from what, Mona and Springville and Payson up to
Up
Logan.
to, well, you could theoretically, we could even go up to Lava Hot Springs. Like, I think that's within.
Yes,
hours,
or
yeah.
Evanston or Fillmore or any of the beautiful places on the Wasatch Back. So
And July would be really pretty for some of these. It may be hot. So maybe we wouldn't want to go south. Maybe we want to go north or something.
well, if you went south, I'd go to Bryan and be in the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah, so if anyone just give me thoughts, I'll send out the acceptances today, and then we can do a leadership meeting like the next few weeks to like suggest who's like the contest winner. Because that's kind of different. Like obviously the people who are good enough who didn't make number one as the contest are still getting in the anthology. It's just we're just picking one winner to be the and so when we have the book formatted, we can say one of them was the contest winner or something, or we can do a thing like that. But
Well,
okay.
I think we should, because Kira and Jonathan are excellent at flash fiction, and I'm 113,000 words, so I'd like to see if I can win something at 100 or 400 or 300.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you guys know. But it was just the anthology and the retreat. So I guess we'll have them both come out around the same time. I kind of like the idea of them coming out during the same time instead of it being the conference and that, because it's hard because the conference is virtual, and so it's nice to do it in person. Because if you guys, like anyone who's available wants to, even if you didn't get in the book, you want to be like at the book launch and see how that stuff works, like, because we can have a book launch. We could probably do the book launch at Lovebound Library, the brand new bookstore. That's a romance bookstore, and I'm sure that they would be great. Like I went there once and they were really nice. So if we did it in July, maybe Sarah, you'll be back in time. And yeah. So that was just all I had. I don't know if anyone else has anything. So
Melissa, did you have any points of business?
I don't have it.
Okay. I will say I killed my Twitter today. I might start up Threads, but I'm gonna have to.
Is Threads
Yeah.
pretty much like Twitter? Like is Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's friendlier Twitter, yes.
it's not gonna
Yeah.
be friendly soon. Just wait. Just when enough people get on, it always gets
Well,
scary.
I have to tell you, I can't do TikTok because I'm just the Chinese, man. They're really good at what they do, and some of us are shy little lambs walking in.
Oh
But
my
and I don't video my books as well as you do, Liz. So like I don't have content for Instagram or TikTok, but I was thinking Threads is still text. And what I like about Threads and what I liked about Twitter, when the writers are out there, writers and readers and the text lovers are out there. They don't need junk emails put into a Facebook meme, so although that happens too. But anyways, okay, so thank you. All right, so when you're ready, all right, everybody. So we're gonna talk about Blurbin. So I'll get ready to share. Thank you. As we do this, I'm going to demonstrate how I like to blurb. And so that's why I was saying, if you want to have whatever you use to compose text ready, a best practice I'm going to give you guys is, as an author, and I do it when it hits me because I'm a pantser, but if you're a plotter, you can do it ahead of time or at the end, wherever you ritualistically want to write your small text about your big text. A best practice is to have a Word document with your query type text, your synopsis type text, and your, what do you call it? I don't know, the quick text, either the top 25 for Amazon or your one-liners for your videos. I have a Word document with all of that stuff in addition to my Word document of my manuscript, or as part of my manuscript. And so I call this the little text. And blurbs are the biggest part of our little text. So if you've been watching us with the chapter, we've done our query letter and we've done our one-liners. So now we're into the, and I put it at 50 to 150 to 250 or 200. But when I started to share this, just know that every publisher or every arena has a different synopsis length. And so I have this document so that I can shorten or lengthen. And then plus genre, like kids books and young adult fiction, they're shorter blurbs because they're shorter books. But I'm telling you, I've seen some fantastic novels that it fills both sides of the inner cover. It might be a 400-word blurb. So as we share, this is my presentation, and I'm going to drop a handout in the chat. And this is just a one-pager, but I want to give this to you because this is where all my resources were. And again, I didn't want to steal anybody's, how do I say this? I didn't want to steal somebody's stuff. I mean, I gotta stop sharing because I don't have that window open. But I didn't want to steal someone's way of blurbing. I wanted to give you enough that you could go get some help, but also teach you homegrown blurbing because you guys are writers. You know what you need to know to blurb. It is like flash fiction for your novel. It's 100 words describing your story. And you should be able to write it. It's like a chapter synopsis, only it's for the whole novel. So it's an art, but it's also something you guys do all the time because you're writers. So let me see if I can get the chat open and drop the handout. Apparently, I've been teamsing too much and I can't find chat. It's been one of those days. I'm sorry. I love it. My Zoom window is just too small. Now we drag and drop like normal. That's normal. Here it is. Okay. So it's a PDF, you guys. Oh, it's a page. It's not that one. Where's my PDF? Oh my gosh. All right. PDF coming. Come on. Drop. All right. There is the handout with the links I'm going to show you on the screen. All right. Now we share. Oh man, and then PowerPoint shut on me. Professional blogger, I am not. Sorry, guys. Keynote works better. I fight with Zoom with one PowerPointing. Come on.
It wouldn't be a presentation night if we didn't have some technical difficulties, right?
Well, and especially for me, this is like not my first time. I feel like I've fallen off my horse, Sarah, and I need to get back on. Okay, move the chat. I don't know if you guys can see the chat, but it's in my way, so I'm moving it. I won't be able to see the chat. Please call out if you need me. Okay, so welcome to Blurbing Book Babies. I showed a baby because I could. Well, you guys, if you're here earlier, you heard me talking about stock photos and how difficult Mac makes that. So can you describe your book in 50, 150, or 200 words? We talked about the little sets of words. The little sets of words we make, our blurbs, our one-liners, our synopses. These are what we need to publicize, to query, to talk about our books. And the reason why I stole the term book baby is because it's that hard. It's as hard to talk about your manuscript as it can be to talk about your newborn infant who doesn't look like a lizard. And how many times do I describe my books? I mean, I do it in 25 words, I do it in 1 lines, but I do it for the back of the book and I do it longer. And so I've got some samples for you. So get my mouse to, I have to mouse it. Bless Mac. So this is the lady I stole the term from, although you'll hear the manuscript midwife and that term. But I got to meet Angela Anderson in person because I live in Kansas City and she was talking. But this is her website. She uses the term book baby. She's an editor, book promoter, so on and so forth. She's one of these people that makes a life around writing. And she, when she was she talks about as an editor, she had to use the term book baby because your editor is going to tell you what you really need to do to your writing. And sometimes it's hard to hear it because it's my baby and you're telling me to cut off its fingers. So especially if you're sensitive about what people say about your book. One thing about writing blurbs is you can exercise some of that and select the words you want to use to describe your book baby. So the first place I want you to go to for blurbs, and I use the link as a title. If you Google writing book blurbs, you can find all sorts of people, all sorts of websites. People make a living at writing blurbs for you. And by the way, when you're being an indie publisher or you're working with your publisher, writing blurbs is something you can pay someone to do. Liz is amazing at short fiction. Hint, hint, hint. Okay, but what Reedsy says, they talk about one of the good things we find in our blurbs is who are the main characters, and they use the term primary conceit. I love, oh crap, I moved my mouse. What's the chat, y'all? Am I missing something?
Nope, it was just me saying thanks, trying not to disturb you, and I just disrupted everything. So
Okay. Today I was on my PC wireless mouse, you see over there, and I kept hitting the spinner. And I'm like, and this is my Mac mouse. It's not like it has a spinner, but I bumped it again. Look at that. Ah, touchy. Apparently it's me. I have Tourette's. Okay. So when you think about primary conceit, think about your English degrees and your Masters of Fine Arts here. That, like, what's the main problem? And then the stakes. And then they talk about the genre keywords. One of the things about our world is there's going to be searches done. And if you got the right keywords in your blurb, it's going to come up on Google. And Sarah's nodding her head. So genre keywords. So, and I'm just going to point this out to you. They went through a series of books on this blog. And one of the books they chose was Outlander, as in Diana Gabaldon's massive, now a huge set of series. So if you read the blurb for Outlander, and I'm a purist, I like her original blurb, that's just me. But in any case, you find out about Jamie and Claire. And if I said Jamie and Claire and said Outlander, you might know who I mean. And this is the primary conceit. So if you've never watched any of the, I call them movies, but they're hour-long, really intense episodes on is it Stars? I have them on DVD. But anyways, Jamie and Claire. Jamie is a Scotsman, hint, hint, hint. But anyways, Claire is trapped in the past, and she must rely on a man who could tempt her away from her wedding vows. That's the primary conceit of Outlander. Speaking of love triangles, awesome love triangle. The stakes are survival and fidelity, and Claire ends up being attacked by soldiers like 20 minutes into the past. But the keywords they picked out of that blurb: passion, compulsion, torn between, shatter her heart, and danger. So I'm going to say these again. Thinking about Outlander and what you know about Outlander now, these are the keywords that Reedsy found in the blurb: passion, compulsion, torn between, shatter her heart, and danger. And that's 1, 2, 3. That is 7 words or 7 word phrases to describe Outlander. So if you could distill keywords like that, and I think about torn between. Claire is married when she's put in the past 200 years. So she's got an army World War II spy husband in England, and a Culloden Highlander in his kilt in 1745 Scotland. And that's her torn between is that. Okay. The next one I'm going to refer to is blurb.com. Fun, fun, fun. When blurb.com talks about blurbs, they're a little bit, I don't know. I like how they talked about it in terms of they don't ever call it a synopsis. They call it a short promotional description. So there's your 2, y'all. We're going to write a short, which is a squishy term, promotional description. Your blurb needs to match the tone and the genre and your voice. By the way, that's why I like to write my blurbs and let my publisher tweak my blurbs. It should have a great opening line. Do you guys agree with that? Should your blurb start with a punch?
yes.
Absolutely. And it should cover the hook, the character, and the conflict. Although there's a small asterisk by hook. Remember when we talk about like the key thing in your book, you keep it hidden with your readers and you tempt them with the hook. On your query, you're going to spell it out for your prospective agent or publisher, but on your back cover, you want to hint strongly, okay? For instance, we all know that Claire ends up with Jamie because notice they said Claire and Jamie, but what about poor Frank? And his evil ancestor looks just like him, right? You know, it is a love triangle, but it says Jamie, hint, 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 she ends up with Jamie, okay? The other thing it talks about is cliches. Blurbs especially. We should be avoiding cliches or using them to our own for our own diabolical purposes. But you really don't want to do cliches in your blurb, and it's really hard because blurbs do have a rhythm by the genre, and especially the type of subgenres. They kind of sound the same. So watch yourself, because you might get cliched because it's short and sweet, and when myth becomes story and story becomes snippet, that's where cliches come from. And then I marked this as cachet, but basically your twist, what makes your book unique, should be in your blurb. So that's why I'm saying you write it, because the way you write should infect your blurb. And especially like Liz talks about my writing all the time. I do have a fun eccentricity when I'm in the best place, but otherwise it gets really long and a lot of info dumping. So my cachet is there's going to be a twist, and it's going to be really weird. Like Frankenstein is a bus. Yes, Frankenstein is a bus, as in a beep beep school bus. Okay. So the last blog I want to point you to, and this particular person thinks that blurb is different than description, just so you know. They don't use the term blurb for description. They talk about blurbs as like the content reviews by people promoting, okay? But blurbs, they call blurbs as short book reviews written by authors or experts as marketing material. That's also something fun. It's fun to write that way. But when they talked about the blurb I'm talking about as book description, they say it's usually written by a publisher, a book marketer, or author, and it describes the contents of the book, right? And that's something you should know that, but just to make it clear, I'm describing the content of my book so that you want to read it. Because we all talk about the book is judged by its cover, but think about yourself when you're anywhere, be it Kindle or your ebook, or you're in a bookstore. And I love bookstores, by the way, and libraries, the same thing. And I pulled the book off the shelf, or I put it in my hand. What's the first thing you do? We look at the cover, and then we either open it to read the flap, or we go on the back and read the flap, right? Does anybody never read the blurb? I don't know anybody that buys a book or reads a book without reading the blurb, but that's me as a reader. Am I wrong? Okay. Like it's super shaking hand. I always read the blurb, and that's one thing that's fun. I don't think marketing professionals and PR folks read, so they don't think about the blurb the way that we readers do. And as writers and readers, right, we read the blurbs, because you might have tempted me with that really cute line that guys have right there that goes down across the hips, that yummy line, because we have more than a 6-pack. But I ain't gonna read it unless I know why, right? So anyways, okay. So for fun, first sample. And if you look on the top left, this is from Amazon's 100 books to read in a lifetime. I looked at Amazon's top 100 because, I'm an eclectic reader, and I read them. There's books you read. I was talking about The Clockwork Orange with a friend tonight. And this is one I had never even heard of. And I'm like, why is this on the list? And then you think about 180,000 Goodreads ratings. I was kind of curious, right? And it's also 20 years old. I don't know if you can see it through Zoom, but it was published in 2001. On this screen from Amazon, we have a 25-word, I don't know, promotional text, tagline, leading line, and then we have, I believe it's like about 60 words. Then we have a blurb. So if you look at the bolded text, a national bestseller, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, right? A beautifully ragged, laugh out loud comedy, right? That redefines both family, from the best-selling author, That's like a 25-word marketing statement. If you know that you won a prize, or you republished this, or you want to tie people back to one of your other books, you can write one of these too. I consider them blurbs. Okay. If you have an author friend that has a lot of followers and you're a lot like them and you want to cross promote, write one of these for them and ask them to write one of these for you. But if you notice the actual blurb right there, the opening line, a heartbreaking work of staggering genius. That's some sharp words, y'all. Okay. And this is only about 60 to 80 words. It's a very short synopsis. But that's what I'm talking about, blurb. And it can be on the back. It's definitely on my Amazon, because most Amazons, right, you can get to the description. When I am searching for a especially out of print or obscure book, I'm reading what Amazon has on there. But not just Amazon, Just know we'll get some more. So step number 1, if you look at your handout, my step number 1 is explore. So what do books like yours do? Remember when I was talking about query letters, we talked about finding comps, comparable books in my genre, subgenre, publisher, etc. What do they do? How long are their blurbs? What do their blurbs talk about? And one of the things that makes me crazy in our current world with the big 5 publishers is I don't get my blurbs on the back anymore. I get these stack of fake bot reviews, right? The cover is filled with other people's comments about the book, but it doesn't tell me what the book is about until I open the inside or look in the back. And that upsets me because that's marketing, but I'm a reader and I know you can pay the San Francisco Chronicle to read your book and they'll tell you what they say and you can chop it up and say it's 5 stars and I'm going to call bullshit. Okay. So for me, the blurb is most important because I'm a reader. But in any case, look at your comps, see what they do. Start to explore. Like reading other novels, like and what not like your book makes you a better writer. Looking at other books' blurbs make you a better blurber. And then analyze it. How is my book the same as or different? And what I really like is better. You like Outlander? Well, guess what? Not that I could ever. It's ballsy to go after a big fish, but you know, I mean, it's your cachet. Do what you do. So, Deborah, like in your case, you could talk about, well, we do this, right? And think about your case. There is a Jewish heroine and Jewish religion throughout here, and it's clean, y'all. You can share it with your rabbi, your grandbabies. You're not going to have a dick come flying out at you, so to speak. It's not erotic. And then gather. And this is what I talk about gather. So if you want to open your document, this is the kind of stuff we're going to start doing. So who are your main characters? Like, who do you want to talk about? And by the way, are they named? If you think about movies, for instance, and I talked about Outlander, Frank was not listed in some of the quotes about Outlander, although the real blurb, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't looked at it. I'll have to go downstairs and get my copy. But I believe the real blurb for Outlander talks about Claire, and then it has a line about Frank and a line about Jamie, because it's a love triangle between her and these 2 times, the men in each time. So it devotes a line to each man in their time. In any case, and then the conflict or issue, like what is the issue here, right? You guys have heard me complain about my book for a while. And then the plot points. What are the things that are going to entice your reader to read this, right? I picked up Outlander because it was a Scottish guy in a kilt. Because at the time in the 90s, a Scottish guy in a kilt was either really poor bodice busting stuff or Harlequin. I had not seen it in straight line fiction. And the fact that she did Bonnie, Prince Charlie, and Culloden, I was hooked. I wanted the historical. And when I got into that book and saw how deep she got in the detail, I was all over it because you immerse. There's a reason why it's a series of many, many movies, because it's that kind of content. But in any case, so get that together and then you find out how big it is. So how many words do you need to come up with? And on my document, when we do this, you'll see me put 25 or 150, depending on my mood. Make notes about the tone. Outlander is written by an ex-scientist, and it's very historically accurate. So big words are fine for Outlander. If you're talking about like a Blue's Clues type book, you're going to have short, sweet words because it's a short, sweet book. All right. So I talked about Rebecca Yarros. Look, she's up here on the thing. I write contemporary romance in general, and I love Amazon because frankly, you can social all you want, you can blog all you want, but I've been Amazoning for books for 20 years because when I want books, my library probably doesn't have them, and I'm on Amazon, and I might look for them elsewhere and I'll buy them from bookstores, but when I'm out on the hunt, I go to Amazon. So that's where I start, and plus it's a really wide field. So this is the romance category. If you notice on the left, I went to books and I selected romance. Look at all the romance genres. And what I really like is this top landing page here. Okay, because genre can shuffle and shift. So if you looked at this and said, all right, guys, what's the top 10 genres in Amazon right now for romance? There they are. So contemporary, erotica, LGBT, 1, 2, 3. Then suspense, then comedy. Number 5 is historical, fantasy, paranormal. Notice that billionaires have its own category. Used to be cowboy, now it's billionaires, and frankly, it's things with tails and aliens. And then clean and wholesome. They don't say closed door, they say clean and wholesome. So right there, you guys, if you write romance, now we talked about, Liz has talked about mixing romance and horror. But when you think about genres, my stuff is generally contemporary romance. So I went right at the top. And this is the top bestsellers in contemporary romance. Now, Amazon, because they're a place where everybody publishes, people will do their promotion and their ratings will drive them at the start. They have a herd of people to rate. Like if you think about the marketing machines that some authors have, there's a stack of, I don't really call them beta readers, but there's that review herd, the ARC herd, right? And it can be an ARC or a pre-published copy, but there's always a push to get reviews and get it on Amazon to hit the top 10, and then it kind of fades over time. So the best sellers and the top rated, and it chunks them in lots of different ways. But here you go. This is the top bestsellers and top rated in contemporary romance. But because I have a very, very long cowboy romance, and she writes contemporary romance as well as that awesome, fantastic stuff she's doing, I went to a contemporary romance. You can see I bought this edition in January because Melissa told me I should look her up. And I looked at her 4 wings and said, I don't think I want dragons. And so I went for contemporary, and it's actually historical as well. And this bad boy is 400. Let me get it for you. It's back here. Yeah. I'm gonna get these two to show you. All right. I'm a horrible reader. So the Bromance Book Club might look familiar to you. Kind of fun. See how relatively skinny it is. It has a blurb. I like that. The Things We Leave Unfinished, 448 pages. It's that thick. So get closer. We're talking 1.25 inches. It is the 400 and some odd pages with a blurb on the back, right? So this is what I'm talking about. The Bromance Book Club is all about these sports guys, and it's a series, of course. And the dudes get together and read romance novels, and they start to hook up with girls who also read romance novels. So it's a pretty great setup. But anyways, so there's her blurb. You saw it on the back of the book. There's the bold text. There's a word for that. Liz, do you know what the word is? Is it the leading? That my publisher calls it the 25 words for the top of Amazon. What do you call that thing?
The bold part.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just would, it'd be the leading or like your elevator pitch. The
Yes.
first things like it's your kind of like your hook,
Yes.
Sometimes they call it a log line.
A log line. Yes. Yeah. So look at that. So there's the log line. Rebecca's got republished. Entangled picked her up, and she's now, this one has 19,000 ratings. Her 4 Wings stuff is going crazy, and I'm waiting for the movies, right? So, and Rebecca wrote military because she's in Colorado Springs. So there you go. In any case, there's her one line. Yeah, I had it in my query. Funny thought. And look where it ends up on Amazon. Hint, hint, hint. There's your 25 words right there. Told in alternating timelines, the book examines the risks we take for love, the scars too deep to heal, and the endings we can't bring ourselves to see coming. The 448 pages, the last 20 pages, the World War II couple ends up in a huge twist, and they all die, kind of. And you don't know if she ends up with Noah until the last 10 pages. And they were hot in love, and then it all goes to hell. It's one of those ones that 95% you think it's going to be fine, and then all goes to hell. It's awesome. Okay, so just want to say, and notice this blurb. Georgia is a contemporary. Noah is contemporary. The bottom is Georgia's I think it's her great grandma, Scarlett. So this is a contemporary romance with a World War II historical mixed in. And her blurb is 2/3 contemporary and 1/3 historical, and they are chapter by chapter meshed. And I knew it was going to be something like that because of this blurb, right? As they read Scarlett's words in both the manuscript and her box of letters, that tells you how it's going to blend in, they start to realize why she never finished her one story, her real life romance with a World War II pilot, and the ending is not happy. Her grandmother has a tragic love story, okay? And so one of the things I love about this book is, our romance readers, they don't like unhappy love stories, but look at what she's done. She's resurrected the love in a great granddaughter. How awesome is that? What makes your book better or different than other things? Rebecca has taken a tragic love story and brought you to its height and crashing down in the middle of an almost tragic love story now, and she heals the earlier love story 80 years later. What an amazing thing to do in a book. So by the way, if you're thinking about something to do in a book, that's what she's done. And you wonder why Integral pick her up? Baby, write as good as you can. So, so step 4 is to write, and step 5 is to edit. Okay. So when you find comps and you find things like you want to do, you start to write. You make sure while you're writing that it's complete, that you've hit your word count, that you've got a compelling hook. I like the one-liner, the first sentence being a one-liner too, and that you match the genre and match your book. Readers who like books like yours are going to read your blurb and they're going to like it and they're going to feel familiar, or they're going to, oh, I bet it has what I want. Okay. So here's another sample, not all Amazon. I don't know. Anybody know this book? This is a Barnes and Noble book club. So when you go on Barnes and Noble and look at their top books, this one pops up. This is their 25-liner, 25-word paragraph or 2-liner. So this is how they tempt you into this book club. So look at this little blurb. This is a small blurb. This is somewhere between a query blurb and a blurb. The search for a missing father begins to unwind a tangle of family secrets in this riveting new novel from the author of Old Book. She weaves together a page-turning history, a domestic drama, and a philosophic inquiry into, quote, the nature of language to create a novel that is wholly original and completely unforgettable. And when you talk about cliches, you can call bullshit on this. Is my novel wholly original and completely unforgettable? Well, it better be pretty original and pretty unforgettable if you're going to say that, okay? But look at this, a philosophic inquiry into the nature of language. What is this book about? A page-turning mystery, a domestic drama with a philosophic inquiry. Ooh, interesting. I can see book clubs going crazy for this. Do I want to read this on a Saturday afternoon because I'm bored? Not sure. Here's the whole blog, the whole blurb, and I apologize because it's covered. So they opened with a line from the book. Those are your eclectic first words of this novel. And notice that in this case, the brand is partly the race. So she's talking about the family being a biracial Korean-American family in Virginia. That would be something your readers might be interested in, especially the people looking for books that look like me or sound like me. If they sound like you, put that in the book. And then it talks about Mia. And then had a rare genetic condition, Angelman syndrome, which I have no idea what that was. So this might be a very fun book. And her brother has it. And so when you talk about language and philosophy, now I get an idea of what they're talking about it. And so basically the middle part of the blurb is talking about the synopsis, right? This would be description. I put that at about 60, 70 words. And then it follows with the hooky part, the fun stuff, the lead you in. Ticking clock investigation to the whereabouts of. A rich family portrait of. The book is a family drama, a novel, profound, blah, 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 blah. And then it puts her cachet in there. This author has done a really good book, and this is another book from them. So we're going to build on that, because think about, they do it as a marketing ploy because it's like the sophomore album from your favorite band, right? Maybe the next book isn't as good, but maybe it's better. So there are later books in Outlander that I like better, but the last one I'm having trouble with. Writing like a script does not help you, Diana. We want your immersive detail in your books. The same. Okay, so the next one. This is also another book. This is from Penguin themselves. Okay. This is Picasso's Lovers. I cropped it for you. You can't see it all. But this is how Penguin Random House described it. This is their leading line for this book. A tangled and vivid portrait of the women caught in Picasso's charismatic orbit to the affairs, scandals, and art. Only this time they hold the brush. And I want to point out that I'm not sure that's Picasso in the picture. He was shorter and rounder, and he had dark hair, but that guy looks too short. Just saying, but I'd have to check. I don't know. Does that look like Picasso to you guys? It might be. I don't know. As an art major, I have him as really young and really old. I don't have him in the middle when he was supposed to be the swarthy lover that you adore. But that's the gist of it. Here's the blurb. And so this one's a little bit more traditional. This might be the first big publishment for this book author. And this one's kind of fun. And you think about it, novelty sells books, and this one's kind of novel, and they're hitting it hard. So this is about an aspiring journalist, Alana Olson. And she's not sure what to expect, but she steps into Sarah Murphy, who is one of his lovers, okay? And so she starts digging in and gets Sarah's experience from the French Riviera in 1923. So think about the timing, about 100 years ago in the French Riviera. Can you imagine what people might be thinking about? And then here we go. Alana feels a disturbing convergence. She's getting some twitchy, right? And so desperate to trace the threads, she dives into the glittering lives. Sharp word, y'all. And then at the end, the male-dominated world of art journalism, civil rights in America, hard truths peeling apart around her. And the most extraordinary portrait Alana encounters is her own. So if you think about that, you could probably guess at the genre, right? You could definitely guess, you know, the time period, you know what it's about, and you know what kind of literature this would be because the blurb. So that's the things we aim for. So I'm just going to show you mine. I don't want to read all mine, but this is my Frankenstein novel. Yes, Frankenstein's monster is a bus because I'm that kind of girl. So I talked about him, and I talked about her, and then I talked about the hook at the end. Nicoletta and Petra experience the dark truths lurking behind the story of Frankenstein as they make a deal with the latest Dr. F. While they survive to love each other, can living be worse than dying? And this is a strong love story sci-fi. And by the way, I'm not the best at blurbs, so don't hate me, okay? But I want to show you something interesting because blurbs can change by who writes them and over time. I got this blurb from one of my reviewers. This is how they described my book. And so I know Liz has read it, but in the early 1980s in Romania, Petra is working for a person named Net. The Net family has secrets like most families do, but when it discovers he's the descendant of Professor Frankenstein, it's probably no surprise the story is heading where it's going. However, it's still shocking when Petra is shot dead, only be brought back as the bus he loves. The plan is to clone him, but before the professor can perfect the process, he dies in a horrific accident, right? So there's Petra's, that's written from a reader. Flash forward to present day, the bus has been forgotten, Nicoletta gets it. As time goes on, she starts to believe that this person talking to her is a real person, and they form a close bond. And this is how I like how they talked about what happens. However, tragedy is not far behind. Boris, the grandson of the Nets, he's got some craziness of Frankenstein. He's found the papers and he wants to finish it. That bus is going to be human again. And he kidnaps him, and chaos and excitement go through. And I like how they put this at the end. For Nicoletta, it's barbaric and unimaginable, but she's willing to do it for him throughout the tragedy. Will their love survive? This gives a lot more details that I want to put out there. It's possible that I need to put this kind of details out because some of my readers don't like it, but I'm like, it's sci-fi and it says Frankenstein. You ought to read it because when we talk about Frankenstein, it's nothing like the book. You know what I mean? So I was kind of doing it that way. But I want to point out that another blurb that the same reader wrote is that was their description of my book. This is their commentary. So when you think about things to capture on your blog or to promote on social media, or to keep for future reference, check out how this reader commented. Like if I was going to switch blurbs with somebody, check out what they wrote about my book. Pretty awesome stuff. And you really feel for the character's plight. And even though the torture that Nicoletta endures can get a little difficult to read, and this is a guy, most of the girls really hate it because I'm evil. But the book is unputdownable. Now, I don't know if I like that word, but that's where they used. Now, anyways, and he enjoyed the pop references. He caught Ghostbusters and Terminator, but he thought about Knight Rider. He said people have talked about Christine with my book, Stephen King, but he was thinking Knight Rider, and I'm like, yes, finally. And it's quick because there's a lot of 80s references in the book. So this is what so if you think about if I was looking for ways to describe my audience, fan of horror, 80s nostalgia, and tragic love stories, that's who I need to market to. And my reader put that in. I have that in words myself in different ways, but that's the kind of stuff I want you guys to think about. So let's go to it. All right, your turn. Okay, I'm going to open a Word document. Let me see where I am. Just make sure. Okay. So I'm going to escape that. Stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to open a Word document. I want you guys to open whatever you have, be it Google Doc, Pages, spreadsheet, whatever. Okay. Let me get this open, and then we're gonna kind of do this together. I want to demonstrate this for you just to give you an idea. Okay. So let me start sharing that screen. All right. Okay. Can you guys see my Word document? Okay. Yeah. Move it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, all right, now I'm starting from this level because there's a truth about being an author. And painters have this as well, and so do photographers. The fear of the empty page. Do you guys ever experience that? And I take my mouse and I start to do something. And I'm actually doing this right now purposely. I saved this for this presentation. Let's give you time for it. Today's February 29th, right? I knew this has been coming on for 6 weeks. I finished my last draft of my novel for my alpha reader for a content review about 3 weeks ago, and I stopped doing anything on that book. I need to leave it the heck alone so when it comes back, I can edit it like it needs it. So what I'm going to do is I need to save this as. So I always start, I will say you guys can see some of my file stuff, but I want to tell you that file organization is your own thing. I'm using my Mac, but your Google Docs, same idea. I want you to see it. This is what I have to do. I have to, and I've been renaming this book, so I got to find it. There's my working title, y'all. Isn't that nice? And I'm going to call this Blurbs. Okay. Can't even type today. Hard. And by the way, if you think, look, I put it as blurbs there. If I had a place where all my blurbs lived, if I use blurbs in the front, I could file structure and go by title and find the one I want. So I'm going to make a note for 25 words. And I make one for 150. Okay. And that's a good place to start because depending on your person, they might have you do more or less. Make this text a little bit bigger. And one of the things I do ritualistically, just so you guys know, one of the tips I'll tell you to make writing blurbs easier is write it like you write your novel. If you open Scrivener and you have a thing, do the same idea. I hate Calibri font. I hate to write in it. I hate to do anything in it. So the first thing I do is switch to something else. And I generally compose an Arial and change it to Word later. I'm going to use Arial today because we're online. Okay. So when you look at your handout, I said, gather, you know, if I go back to the screen, but I'm going to type these out. I'm going to put these above my 25 words and numbers. I'm just going to write this out. Main characters, not that I can type. That's fat finger syndrome, right? You guys can't get my keyboard in the right place. Main characters, conflict. I should copy and paste, but I can't. Hook. Plot points, right? Got my number of words. Okay. So we've got Lauren, the heroine. Noah, the sexy next door brunette. Because I'm gonna write this. I hate to say, I'm gonna describe it like a movie or a porn. Okay. And by the way, this one I have letters on names. I might have to switch names. Nixon, the almost as sexy. X, Papa Daddy, you know, baby daddy, blonde. Isabella, the Castilian princess. And Iru, the other guy. Isabella. Sexy Japanese billionaire. Okay. Can't spell Japanese, right? So that's my main characters, right? So you guys thinking about this in your blurb, it's a love triangle. This is a love triangle. So in my blurb, one of the things I need to remember is I need to talk about all of the members that are going to possibly comprise the final lovers. So no matter your book genre, remember we are romance chapter, so there's a romance in it somewhere. There's a love story somewhere. So this is a triangle. So all three names are going to be on the back of the book because I don't want to spill who's going to end up being it. Okay. Because she is pregnant, by the way, with Nixon's baby, and here's no one next door. So it's who do you pick? All right. So these ones are, I might mention them, but that's my main characters. Okay. So the conflict or issue or hook is business sold. Now what? Being almost 30 is hard, right? Broke up with ex. SD still engaged, but, right? So what's the buts? Can't type this fiance. And by the way, remember the two E's for females. The best friend's fiance kisses her. She's pregnant with ex's kid. X is best friend with BFFs. Okay. That's romantic conflict. Wow. So Liz, can you imagine? Right?
Yeah.
And this is why it's 113,000 words, and this is why it works. So just 25 words. I'm just going to kind of free write this. This is, as you guys do this, know that this is like any plotting. You write and write and write, you edit and you edit, and you sharpen and sharpen and sharpen. And why I'm doing this now is I'm trying to let my novel that I've been working on for 3 years marinate outside of my head so that I can self-edit it before I start to pitch it. And I need some space and distance so that I can get objectivity, because I've been in this book enough that I've got some habits and I've got some scenes and I need to cut and I need to get some distance and objectivity back and my reader brain back to cut out the crap and keep the awesome. Because right, Liz, right? We cut out the crap and we keep the awesome, right? So
Like killing your darlings.
yes, it's killing my babies. Exactly. So I'm going to start to, and by the way, blurbing is an excellent activity to do right now because this can help me get to the crux of the matter. My back cover writing will be an exercise for me to get this nailed down to what I keep. And by the way, I'm just going to start it now to show you this, but this is kind of how I free write when I'm free writing. Lauren, let's see. Lauren lands in the home of her mother. And I'm just going to kind of free write. Home of her mother, ready to take over the family ranch. And she meets her sexy neighbor. His kisses make her weak. But it really kills her when she finds out who he's engaged to. There we go. And I could keep track, but if you think about the 25-word plot line, right? So let's think about this. Lands in the childhood home, maybe, right? We can say stuff like this. We can, So I'll give you some of the background here. She, in her 20s in college, she started a business with her bestie. They have been making their millions and they got sold out by a tech company in Japan. They go to sell the business in Japan and her bestie ends up in an affair with the guy buying them out. And meanwhile, Lauren's grandpa dies and she heads back home and she was selling the business to take over. She's getting ready to start ranching. She's been doing this computer business for 10 years. She needs to change. She's getting 30. She just broke up with her boyfriend, who's fiance, and they were going to get married, and then said, I went to hell. And she ends up after a funeral in her grandfather's house that she's inherited, taking over a ranch. And there's this sexy dark-haired guy. And she's like, hey, my life is different now. And I'm kind of on the rebound and you're new, right? And then she finds out who's he's engaged to. And so the whole time he's romancing her, he knows who she is. She doesn't know who he is till a certain point. He knows that she is best friends with his fiance, and he's tempted beyond belief, which makes him a cad or an ass, in my opinion, which why I can't write love triangles. In any case, but as they go on, he gets more and more tempted, and she doesn't push him off because in the back of her mind, he's sexy as hell, and she knows her best friend, his fiance, is stepping him. She knows it, right? So she can't seem to hold back because she really likes him, and frankly, since he's being cheated on, they're gonna break up anyway. Maybe I'll just go for it, right? So she has temptation. So when you think about that, Lauren ought not kiss Noah. He is engaged after all, to her best friend. And this is where you get to like doing it. So see the but, right? Noah is dying for his love. She's thousands of miles away and keeps pushing back their wedding date. As he pines for her to come home, his mother asks him to look over her best friend's daughter who has inherited the ranch next door, right? So you see how there I could give you a taste of why he's tempted, right? Why he's looking outside. That's what I want you guys to do, okay? And then you just start going for it. And then this is why I say use your document, because what I love to do is, let's go do this. I said 25 words. Look, you guys, 40 words. Shit, it's too long, right? You gotta cut that back. So what I try to do, if I like my sentence, I'll go something like this, right? And I cannot type. So, and this is where you sharpen, right? So right there, how close did we get? 33 words. 8 more to go, right? Chop, 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 chop. His kisses makes her weak, period.
What if you said Lauren takes over the family ranch? Or
Yes, yes. The passive, right? Thank you. Yes, passive, right? The evil of writers, right? Passive. See if we did that. So thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
And I don't have to say that but, right? It just, you could just make a new sentence, right? And we could say instead of this, and think about words, right? Really kills.
Yeah, what if Lauren takes over the family ranch and meets her sexy neighbor? Then you cut out
Yeah,
another.
it's me right now, yeah. His kisses make her weak. It devastates her when she finds out who he's engaged to. And that is 27. Okay, so you can see, but look how sharp that is in just that little bit of time. Thank you, Liz. And by the way, you heard this, right? Editingme.com, me with 2 E's, right? Liz. And this is why you work with your publisher, you work with your friends. As an independent author, I love to barter. Y'all, if you need help with blurbs, let's trade, right? And by the way, Sarah writes amazing ones, as does Melissa. Her books prove it. Deborah does as well. So Yesenia, the herd here, we all write pretty good blurbs, although I'm gonna say Sarah's have been devastatingly awesome. How's that, Sarah? When I read, there's a reason why we used her short story so you guys could see Sarah's writing in your hands for the conference. But this is what kind of thing I trade for. I will, when we're critiquing, I will critique blurbs and I will swap blurbs. Deborah, we swap stories. I swap with friends who write like me, especially friends who write like me and read like me. That's who I blurb with. And I partnership. Yep. Deborah, you're nodding. I agree. So Deborah, how do you write your blurbs? Who do you write them with?
I just write them.
And that's the thing. Yeah.
Yep, I just type them out and then I cut them.
Yep. So there you go. So if you guys think about that, and by the way, I didn't write my plots out, but you see my notes up here. I know you guys have an inspiration board. I know you have stuff that keeps your writing going. Okay, that's the stuff that you use to write your blurbs. Okay, so let me finish the presentation just to kind of recap. Let me get the PowerPoint back up. I hope this helps you. But as we recap, oh, come on. All right, so let me share this.
Honestly, like, even because I obviously, with all this books, I write blurbs, but it's nice to hear like your advice. Like there's some things I'm just like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like it's like almost like obvious but not obvious, if that makes sense. So it's really nice. It's been
We
helpful.
take this stuff for granted. We don't talk about it enough. And it's intimidating. Would you guys agree that did you guys feel intimidated about this presentation? Like, I gotta write a blurb. We worry and we take on worry, and it's not that hard. We're writing a novel to tell a story. Write a blurb to tell a story about your book. Same skill. Thank you, Liz. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, and something else is when you write your blurb.
Yeah.
And your publisher says, nah, that's not going to work. You need to do it this way. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. And by the way, that's how you can tell if you can work with said publisher. And this is where and I hate to say it, especially as an indie, you work the best you can, but maybe you move on. And I will say, Deborah, my publisher is kind of hands off. They're really independent. Part of the reason why I'm trying to take more care with this novel is I'm going to try to step up. I don't know if I'll get too entangled yet, although they'll take me, but I have a couple of publishers I'm trying because I want a little bit more from my publisher. Because Deborah, in your case, I know that you guys, I think there was points of doctrine discussions with publishers, and I don't like points of doctrine discussions with my publisher or my editor or anybody else. My covers need to have some of me in them, as does my book and such. But I will say that on my publisher, I got more like less help or not very good help. So I'm doing a lot of this on my own. And so, you saw my blurb. Yeah. I showed the original one just because, hell, if I get picked up, I'll rewrite the thing. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Feels really give and take, like I just want to kind of go off that because like with Deborah, you have a very hands-on publisher and like that can be really helpful. But then like, but then Virginia, you have very hands-off and then that can be helpful and also really frustrating. So it's just interesting because you can do anything really like, so.
Well, it's like my publisher got some ideas of what I wanted on the cover. And then they presented the cover. It wasn't what I wanted on the back. It was just, I wanted something different. But then it's about Amsterdam. And then their artist did a picture of a bridge that I didn't even know about. And I had to go search that bridge to see what it was and then thread it through my novel, because why would you have a picture of this bridge on the front of the novel and not mention it in the book?
Exactly. And that's a really good point, Deborah. And I will say that blurbs, like your novel, they will morph over time. You need to think of them like your novel. If it needs changing, let it change. If it needs fixing, fix it. And be open to it. You guys heard me. I'm free writing, and so there's passive, there's wrong words, or you can sharpen that. And so I really do the whole quote. If we quote Callie Stoker, the editing funnel, right? I really do go through and check the content. Yeah. Yesenia, do you have something to say? You're welcome to chime in. Okay.
Oh no, I'm just listening. This is like the first manuscript that like I finished and I submitted to the editor this past Sunday. So, and now I'm writing query letters and blurbing.
Yep, you got it. Yep. And what I'll tell you, Yesenia, the reason why I mix my blurbs with my queries is sometimes I get long, and heavens, that's more like a synopsis. Let's keep it, right? You saw how I'm copying. I really do. I have a couple of these things where you can see over time, and I almost have, like when I'm on Liz's blog, I talk about it this way, but if I was gonna go on like the Utah Horrors chapter, what's Cody's chapter? Oh
Or
heavens.
Writers Association.
You got it. The Utah chapter of the Horror Writers Association. I would go in there and have a different blurb for it. So Yesenia, I do mix them together, and that's why I call it my short stuff in one document, because I figure I'm gonna have to talk about my book in lots of places. I might be at a book signing, I might be at a conference, I might be doing something like this, right?
Yeah.
And you guys heard. So what I like about what Liz did today is we have a crazy love triangle going on, and we're going to make it clear that it's Laura, Lauren, and Noah. But maybe I put, and then there's Nixon, right? and I could put reeling from her ex, you know what I mean, to give an idea that there is an X in there. So when I sharpen this, I'm going to have to make sure that both Noah and Nixon are represented. So yeah. Okay. So the last thing I want to say is here's from the handout. This is just my way of compiling all the different stuff. You guys know how to write it. Again, write a short story, write flash fiction about your book and do it in short words. And then this is me. And I didn't take it off because I'm going to go, in fact, I'll do that now. I'm going to take the X off. But if you guys look, that blurb I told you about my Frankenstein story is the bottom one. It's all contemporary romance. And then I have this weird Frankenstein story because I wanted to talk about what happens if the worst happens to you as a woman. What do you do to move on? And so it had to be sci-fi. But that's my books. And so, for instance, if I wanted to make a postcard of my book, I might put a blurb on the back of it. And it might be different than what's on the book. It might be, I find that with my blurbs, it's kind of like my marketing magnets. I'm doing something different, so I talk different. I have different text, so you can see it in a different way. But that's my presentation, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love y'all, but I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go too.
Love you guys so much. I'll talk to you later, Virginia. Bye,
Thank you.
guys. It was wonderful.
Bye.